This YouTuber, named Pasha, ventured deep into the forest, to a dark, atmospheric, abandoned village that locals refuse to talk about. People once lived here, but eventually left due to famine and unemployment. Nothing would grow, not vegetables, not fruit, and civilization was miles away. Now, the homes stand empty. Their walls are covered in moss, trees have grown through the roofs, and the paths have nearly vanished. But what Pasha found out there is hard to put into words. In the video's description, he writes, "Someone has been scattering huge amounts of candy all through the woods and hanging witchcraft symbols on trees. It's all happening in an old, creepy, abandoned village deep in the forest. I'm going there alone, at sunset, to see for myself whether there's anything supernatural going on, or if it's just a story locals tell to scare people. I'll find out and show you everything." At first, everything seemed calm, until he started noticing strange, wooden symbols hanging from almost every tree. Some were old and rotted, others looked freshly made. Sticks of different sizes were tied together with human hair and bits of string, forming eerie shapes and signs. Who made them, and why? To ward off strangers? Or were they part of some ritual? As he went deeper into the abandoned village, Pasha began spotting colorful candy scattered along the ground, hundreds of pieces lining the trail and scattered near old houses. Who would do this, and for what reason? Locals say that at night, a shadowy figure of an old woman is often seen wandering these woods alone. Could she be the one leaving the symbols and candy behind? A witch, perhaps? Following the candy trail, Pasha eventually reached an old but still standing house. Inside, he was stunned. Dozens of those same witchcraft symbols were hanging from the ceiling above him. While exploring the rooms, he suddenly heard footsteps outside, and then noticed someone, or something, watching him through the window. He rushed outside to check, but no one was there. Everything he encountered that night felt wrong, deeply unsettling. Before long, Pasha decided to leave the place as quickly as possible. To this day, no one knows who or what is behind all of this. This strange place in Ohio is known as Helltown, an abandoned little town shrouded in unsettling stories. Many visitors say they feel incredibly uneasy here, and it's not hard to see why, given the horrific events that took place long ago. The town was originally founded by a group of Native Americans, many of whom tragically lost their lives during a brutal battle with settlers and colonial troops. Countless people died here, and those who survived eventually left Helltown in search of a new home. Fast forward to today, few dare to visit this area alone. Many believe the land itself is cursed. A YouTuber from the channel Urbex Hill decided to explore Helltown by himself, at night. What he captured on camera is chilling. The video, titled "Very Terrifying Dangerous Encounter in Helltown, Ohio," shows him walking through a dense forest where he comes across an old barn. From this moment, things start to get strange.
The barn of Helltown.
At first, everything seems quiet, but as he continues deeper into the woods, things take a frightening turn.
Yeah, this shit's kinda creepy. It's like a little shack back here. I'm surprised this barn is still standing despite how old it is. What the hell is that? What the fuck? What the fuck is that?
The man suddenly freezes. Strange sounds echo from somewhere nearby. It's clear he's terrified, though it's hard to tell what exactly he's hearing. Later, it becomes likely that a pack of coyotes was howling together in the distance. Still, whether it was coyotes or something else, those haunting screams cutting through the darkness were deeply unsettling. Then things escalate. He suddenly stops again. Watch closely.
I keep hearing something. It sounds like it's following me. What the fuck is that? Something's over there. I can hear it. This stuff is like quicksand.
Two glowing eyes appear in the distance, watching him from behind the tall grass. It looks as if whatever it is getting ready to attack. The man realizes it's alive when he sees it duck down to hide. Whatever that creature was, it was large, easily taller than the surrounding grass. Moments later, he shuts off his camera and runs back to his car in panic. A group of explorers from Pakistan set out to investigate an abandoned village, a place completely devoid of life. It seemed no human had set foot there for years, but soon they realized they weren't alone. Someone was still living there, strange, silent children. At first, the vloggers were simply examining the half-collapsed houses. The entire area looked lifeless and grim, swallowed by darkness. It was clear people had left this place long ago. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, until it happened. While exploring one of the homes, they suddenly noticed a dark figure on a rooftop. When they looked closer, they realized it was a small child, no older than 5 or 6, standing silently in the dark, watching them. As they moved closer to ask where his parents were, they saw another child, staring from a nearby building, with the same cold, almost inhuman gaze. Moments later, more of these strange children began to appear, one after another, surrounding the explorers from all sides. It was as if they wanted to drive them away.
कौन है तुम? कौन हो? यार यहाँ पे बच्चे करेंगे क्या यार?
The group decided to leave, but just then, one of the children picked up a brick and hurled it straight at the cameraman's back. Panicked, the team ran for their lives and left the area as fast as they could. What happened after that remains unknown. Who those children were, and why they were living in an abandoned village, is still a mystery. Once new details emerge, I'll share them in a future video. This abandoned street in a small Ohio town is called Helltown Avenue, a place that has long since become a local legend. In April 2016, the body of a missing woman named Jessica Coleman was discovered here. Her killer was never identified. Years later, in July 2023, urban explorer Chris Hill decided to visit Helltown Avenue to film what remained, the old church and the decaying buildings around it. Everywhere he went, the atmosphere felt heavy. Eerie graffiti on the walls, shattered glass, and peeling paint. The church fit perfectly into the mood of the place. While exploring the basement, Chris noticed signs that someone had been there recently. Among the debris, he found a small toy figure, Melman the giraffe from the movie Madagascar, something he swore hadn't been there during his last visit. Knowing that he's sometimes not alone in such places, Chris set up several cameras around the building. About 10 minutes later, one of them, placed on the first floor, captured something truly disturbing.
Upstairs.
The heavy doors suddenly slammed shut. There was no wind that night, no draft strong enough to do that. It became clear someone else was inside the church. Chris searched the entire building but found no one, so he decided to head back outside and continue exploring other structures along the street. If the church was unsettling, some of the houses were in even worse condition, on the verge of collapse. Roughly 30 minutes later, he entered one of the most decayed homes on Helltown Avenue. When he went down into the basement, he heard movement coming from upstairs. As he climbed back up to check, he suddenly saw a curtain move, as if someone had just looked out.
Sorry. I didn't know nobody lived there. It smelled like I knew somebody was in there.
Startled, Chris quickly apologized and ran out of the house. Only then did it hit him. Despite its abandoned look, that house still had electricity, and someone was clearly living there. It became clear that many of these supposedly deserted homes were now shelters for people who didn't want to be found or disturbed. Chris had never experienced anything like that before. Realizing the growing danger, he decided to end his nighttime exploration and leave Helltown Avenue behind. This is an incredibly strange story, and an even stranger video. A group of friends set out to explore an abandoned village called Davutlu. There was no light, no sign of life, just empty streets and decaying homes swallowed by darkness. But only a few minutes into their exploration, the group realized they weren't alone. From the shadows of an old wooden house, an elderly woman suddenly appeared.
Ay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Biraz bırak bu nasıl bir nasıl nasıl bir şey nasıl bir şey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oğlum biri var yanında.
Gel tanıdım seni gel.
She started shouting at them, waving her hands, trying to drive them away, pointing somewhere into the distance. If you look closely, something dark seems to be hiding behind the corner, but as the group approaches, the figure vanishes.
Gelin.
Sen ne yapıyorsun burada ya?
Can ben her yerde geziyorum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oğlum. Ne oluyor ya? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Gel.
Moments later, a dark silhouette reappears in a downstairs window, visible only as a faint shadow, while the old woman continues yelling and ranting at the explorers. Her silent husband stands motionless, his back to the camera, and just like that, the shadow disappears again.
Var.
Abi ne oluyor?
Bu da benim sevgilim. Gel buraya.
Şaka mı bu?
Bak yakaladım
Baksana
onu.
adama baksana kanka. Çok tuhaf çok. Oğlum bu la ilahe yemiş.
Gel buraya.
Oo gidiyor.
Soon, the woman grows even more aggressive, throwing objects at the group and screaming for them to leave.
Hadi.
Abi ooo bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Vay ay.
Yeter peşimden git. Gelmeyin artık.
Oo bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oo adam dışarı çıktı.
Yeter.
Once again, that same dark figure can be seen watching them from a window.
Bayram. Ha orada duruyoruz. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bayram bu ne böyle ya? Abi.
Who or what that figure is remains a mystery, but it almost feels as if the old woman is protecting something, or someone, from outsiders. A truly unsettling place. What do you think?